What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Chris Kringle. This is Kringle Talks Football. Before you go anywhere, before you go any further, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Every time I upload a video, you'll be notified. Follow me on Twitter. My Twitter is on the screen at Mr. CJ Wright. Today, as you can see on the screen, I'm joined by my fellow YouTuber and also a friend of mine, Ryan Williams. Ryan, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you? How is everything?
I'm doing all right, man. You know, here fighting the toothache. Still getting over the Liverpool loss. But other than that, I'm good. How are you, man?
Yeah, man. 35 seconds in, you already had to bring up the Liverpool defeat, right? Thanks, man.
Sorry, bro. Life is an Arsenal fan.
Man. It's, you know, it's life as an Arsenal fan, and it's after what happened to Liverpool yesterday, that defeat makes it even 10 times worse, you know.
Oh, that first half. Oh God.
The way that we're much going to jump straight in. The way Liverpool and Trent in particular were attacked by Vinicius Jr. and by Benzema, it's like, you know what? When I look at the game now for the Arsenal game and I see the way Aubameyang was deployed, I kind of understand why he went that way. But you can't set up that way if you're not going to actually implement it. Like implement the actual tactic and implement the way you want to do it. Don't just set up. Oh man, that just frustrated me when I was watching it.
I mean, no shots in the first half. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And when
Free
I watched
by the full-time whistle.
This is what I'm saying. Do you know what? Yeah, what peed me off with watching that game yesterday with Real Madrid and Liverpool. Like, look, I know that both teams are above us. Like, when it comes to in terms of quality and stuff, we understand that. But what I can't understand is the fact of, you know, how the hell Liverpool get nullified like that so easily. And yet we get nullified like that. Liverpool were Arsenal. Real Madrid were Liverpool.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
that.
And I don't know, man. I'm just I'm still trying to work out.
And you know what? This is a team as well in Real Madrid this season where everybody's saying, oh, this is one of the worst Real Madrid teams. They're not that good. It's only because the likes of Barcelona and Atletico Madrid are not that good either that the reason why they're actually up there in the first place. And then you see them put in a performance like that and you're like, I mean, this is actually as well without Eden Hazard. Eden Hazard didn't play yesterday. Like, come on. And Varane, no Varane either. You know what I'm saying? What is this?
What is this?
Honestly, and that's the thing. Obviously, I think, you know, Zidane's specialty is the Champions League. So obviously he sets up in certain ways against certain teams. But that's the thing, right? Like, everybody could see it. I had this long debate with two friends of mine on WhatsApp the other day about Trent and why he wasn't picked for the England squad and why we don't really think. It's all to do with the whole Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. They did that piece on Monday Night Football, didn't they, regarding Trent and if they pick him or not. And I was saying, you know, look, he probably won't get picked because if you're looking for a one-off game, like similar to Gary Neville, what he said, if you're picking for a one-off game, you're not going to pick him because defensively you're unsure. Attacking-wise, fine. But in an England side that don't really have too much of the ball, you're relying more so on your defensive abilities. And Trent doesn't have that. And the fact still that Arsenal did not exploit that on Saturday angers me 10 times worse. Like, it angers me so much that we didn't even nearly try and get the ball to him at all in Aubameyang's case. And obviously, you know, the tactics side of it comes into it where you're asking Aubameyang to play as an auxiliary left back. For what reason? The thing is, listen, a part of me feels like, and I've listened to a lot of different podcasts this week, try to analyze exactly what we were trying to do, what we were setting up to do. But when you consider, like I said, just how poor Alexander-Arnold is as a right back in terms of defensively, and then you consider that Liverpool probably are going to have a lot more of the ball than us. In some respects, why not just stick Aubameyang up top and just leave him there? Don't ask him to track back. Stay on that last man. So firstly, you're then saying to Alexander-Arnold, well, if you want to get forward, fine, but your right centre-back's going to have a lot of trouble now because Aubameyang's just going to be left there. He's not tracking you back. So if you put a ball in, I'm confident that our defenders are going to deal with it, firstly. And secondly, once we do deal with it, and if we can get the ball out to the midfield, they're going to spring a ball to Aubameyang really quickly. And that's pretty much what we should have done, but we didn't. And the fact that we didn't do that and the fact that it just didn't happen pisses me off so much more.
I mean, I was a bit annoyed because I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm one of these people that felt, you know what? I don't think Aubameyang should have started that game, and my reasons is because I'm not over that West Ham performance. I'm not over the Olympiacos performance. There's just been too many times it's just been not good enough. And look, you can have a bad season, you can have a bad run of form. I get that, but I also look at Arteta and think, why are you not playing the guy up front? Why are you not having him compete with Lacazette? We keep shoehorning this, and it don't work. We had one season where it kind of worked out a little bit, to be fair. And then
in a 3-4-3 formation, though, let's put it that way.
Let's put it that way. Exactly, you're 100% right there. And you know what I mean? It worked out for a little bit, but ultimately it's not working no more. And now we got options of who we can put on the left, and you're not doing that. And it's like, okay. Remember the last fixture when we played Liverpool at Anfield earlier on this season? Aubameyang went missing for that game too. People forget. So it's like, why do you keep trying to do something that's not working? Just tell Lacazette, listen, I'm going with Aubameyang today. Or tell Aubameyang, I'm going with Lacazette today. We have options on the wide. This is what annoys me about this manager. He just keeps doing the same old things that don't work. But ultimately, Aubameyang's getting hung out to dry, and to be honest, he's doing it himself as well as Arteta. I mean,
yeah, of course he is. Yeah,
that's just how I feel. I'm annoyed at both of them, anyways. But
I mean, the thing is as well. Like, obviously, you've seen the stat. I've seen the stat. I mean, I can't find the stat at the moment, but the one that sort of shows him playing as a centre forward compared to playing as a left winger, and the win rate of both of them. So him playing as a striker, we win a lot more games, and he's involved in a lot more of that than he does as a left winger. He gets hardly anything. In against Liverpool, he's played out wide both games, and he registered 0 shots in 167 minutes. In the game against what was it? The four? What was it? I can't remember the different games basically that we've been fantastic in. Give or take a couple of the games, like the West Brom game where he played out on the left. That was the whole team. Let's be honest, that was the whole team, and he didn't score. Let's be honest, he didn't even score in that game. It was Lacazette in the forward position, but playing him out on the left where we've dominated games, or playing him where we've dominated games, we've won convincingly against Chelsea, against Newcastle, against Leeds. He played centre forward against Leeds, didn't he? So you put him in that game, and he gets a hat trick. Yeah. He got a hat trick in that game.
Yeah.
It feels like Arteta's reluctance to play him up front is what's not going to cost him his job, because, as much as we can, and I'm going to ask you as well what you think of Arteta as a whole. But ultimately, I think he's going to be here regardless next season. This is costing him the loyalty in the fan base. Is his inability to pick one person and not basically pick both of them together. Like Freddie said it last, when he was interim manager, he basically said, you can't play the two of them together because of the imbalance you have. Exactly. This is the game when I think Clive from the Arsenal Vision podcast said, this was a game for Martinelli to play, because he pins back Trent. He pins him back, and he's quick enough to get him behind at all costs. If you're going to play Aubameyang in that thing, at least, with Martinelli, if you're asking him to play as a left midfielder, fine. If you're asking him to track back, fine. Full well he'll give 100% in everything. I think someone else referenced it. The West Ham third goal, Aubameyang sticks out a half-hearted leg for the cross, doesn't get anywhere near it. Against Trent for their first goal, sticks out a half-hearted leg for unless you're going to be committed to it, don't. Obviously you've been asked to do it, I get that, but you can't do it. He's not a player that can operate that way. He just isn't a player that can operate that way. And I finally am hoping that the Liverpool game will finally show Arteta not play Aubameyang. Do not play Aubameyang on the left. And if you are going to play him out on the left, stick him on the halfway line and don't ask him to track back. Trust enough in your defenders and your midfielders that they're going to get the job done. And a part of me feels that had Granit Xhaka played, we might not have seen Aubameyang track back as much, because Xhaka can operate out on that sort of left half space where Trent is involved in. Xhaka's more comfortable in that left half space. So if they have the ball, Xhaka can move out. Ødegaard can drop back in. And then essentially you're playing like a 4-4-2, as defensively anyway. You can play as a 4-4-2, and that way at least you've got Aubameyang to spring the attack on. But in a situation where Xhaka is not going to play, I mean, Kieran Tierney shouldn't even start, and we'll get into Tierney as well. But I still am not quite over what he decided to do, what lineup he decided to go with, and what tactics he decided to deploy. I still can't, in my head, look at that team and say, what were we trying to do here? Because none of it, or whatever we were trying to do, none of it worked at all.
No. I'm interested to know why you didn't want Tierney, and I'm interested on that one.
But he just looked knackered. 10 minutes in, but he was dying. Like, he was blowing. Like, he played all 3 games for Scotland. He hasn't really had a rest since he coming back from his last injury for Arsenal. And I get the side of it that it was an impact injury, but the fatigue side of it, I mean, we both probably played football ourselves. Full well, like towards the end of the game where you're just knackered, and obviously our fitness levels compared to theirs are completely different. But towards the end of the game when you're knackered, just that split second of how quick you are to get to the ball or how quick you are to move your leg out of a challenge makes all the difference. Like me, for instance, I've had, my whole left leg is just from knee down is completely done because of injuries. And, I can put it down to mistimed tackles or whatnot. But at the end of the day, I put it down to fatigue. I'm just not fit enough. So to me, to position my body correctly just takes that out, just that split second. So for Tierney to get the injury in the way he did, you can put it down to a freak accident, how he's a leg clash, but also ultimately the fact that he had played all 3 games against Scotland. He had pretty much played every game for Arsenal since his return because we haven't got another option. It was just, like I said, 20 minutes in, you saw him run down the left to try and do whatever he was doing. As he was running back, he'd done that usual. He's like that. Like, he looked knackered. He looked like he was.
Yeah, he did
like,
look
he was
blown out.
And whether or not Arteta thought, okay, look, this is one game. We're going to use him against Liverpool because we feel that we could win it. Fair enough. And then I'll rest him for the Slavia Prague game. I don't know whether he thought that, because probably he'd have played him.
I think he would have played him either way. But the question is,
that's what I mean.
How long would have Tierney got in this Liverpool game? Would he have taken him off? Would he have kept him on for 90? Then, would he play him tomorrow? That's the question. And you're right. I haven't really thought about it because there's a lot of players that, coming from international, and you think to yourself, but not just Arsenal, just all over the place. And you think, how many players are going to get rested? When you look at our squad, I mean, Xhaka played, but he was ill. Odegaard picked up an injury, but he still managed to play. Aubameyang played as well.
Played one game. So did Partey.
Yeah, so Partey as well. And they were all fine, barring Xhaka, and obviously Tierney was pretty much blown up. So yeah, I see where you're coming from. I mean, this is why I was annoyed at the club on January. I was like, we need a left back because the summer it's just going to be more problems.
You know what I think as well, like with the left back situation, I have a feeling, and this is a really big hunch because this is Arsenal we're talking about, and obviously every circumstance is going to be different when come the summer, right?
Yep.
I have a feeling Arsenal know what they want to do for backup left back. I want to say I trust them enough to know what they're doing because, look, we did it with. It's a tough word, especially with the club and with the manager and the board. But I have a feeling that they know what they want to do for left back, because when you've just let Kolasinac go essentially for free, you've told him, listen, we'll pay you to go, man, just get out of here. On loan as well, so it wasn't even like a free transfer; it's on loan. So you're willing to give him up for the rest of the season, and you're not bringing anybody in. Indicates that you've got a plan for the left back option in the summer. Now, I've said it before in one of my videos that we've got Joe Lopez, who's in the reserve squad, who can maybe next season step up and be an understudy for Kieran Tierney. If Tierney is going to go through a Robertson and Trent game last season where he played every single game, it's unlikely given his injury record. But if you've got a backup who can who can play alongside you and watch you basically every week in training, learn from you properly, fine. But a part of me has this feeling that, listen, we've been linked with Ryan Bertrand. He's a free agent in the summer. It wouldn't surprise me if we go for him. We did it with Cedric. There was a player I referenced from, I think it's Hibernian. His name's Josh Dogue. He's a Scottish left back. He's 19, and you'd think if they're going for somebody like that, Kieran Tierney will have maybe a bit of an insight into him and give him a yes or no. He's a player that we've been linked to in the summer. There's not been too many other left backs we were linked with, which could indicate that we might be going for like a Brazilian option or a South American option, at least, given the situation with the scouting over in South America. The work permits are completely changed for South American players coming over to the UK now. So the options are there. It's just whether or not, like I said, do I trust them enough? I think I do, that they've got an option for left back in the summer. Right now, comes the options of, well, who do we put in ahead of, who do we put in now that Tierney's injured? Because he's out, it's been confirmed today. He's out between 4 and 6 weeks. Do we go with Cedric, who I'm not that excited to put as the left back, if I'm honest? He's cool, give him 1 or 2 games, but for the rest of the season, towards the end of the season, I mean, don't get me wrong, look, we're playing, is it the next 5 or 6 games? We've got 5 of the bottom half teams, like from like 15th down or 16th or 14th or 13th down. So we've got quite a few games where we're playing the smaller teams, quote unquote. But I would personally go with Saka at left back. Because, hear me out, because we have the options in the forward line. Because we've got Pepe, because look, Nelson made an appearance on the bench. We ain't seen Nelson on the bench since before New Year. Willian's on there. As much as we can despise Willian, I've actually thought in recent weeks, he's been relatively okay, and he's looking like a player that maybe we can get the best out of. Martinelli's back properly. So we have options now in the forward line, in the front line, where we can maybe say to Saka, okay, look, you're going to have to play left back. But if you're going to play left back the same way Kieran Tierney's been playing left back, you're still going to get up the pitch. There'll still be opportunity for you to get up the pitch. And who knows? That's just an option I think we could go with.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. I haven't really thought about it because I know when Tierney was injured and Kolasinac was injured and Saka pretty much made his name on the scene playing at the left back role. Like it was like, where the hell does this guy come from? And then hearing he's actually a winger, it's like this guy can do everything. When he was playing centre mid, X, Y, and Z, and I totally get that. I think it will be good because if I hate to say this, if Aubameyang keeps playing on that left hand side, and I know Arteta will keep doing that, it should pee us off a lot. Trust me. It will probably help. It'll probably help Aubameyang out a little bit more because with Saka, he will get in front of you and make you drop back as well. Because Tierney does that also. But my problem is Saka going to be able to be okay with that? And I hope so.
I mean, he played how many games? 10 or 12 games last season, and he got something like 6 or 7 assists.
Yeah, he had some crazy assists last season, to be fair to him. But I agree with you. Cedric better out on that, right? I can't deal without if Cedric's not there. I mean, Chambers, I'm all right with him, but we know he's not the greatest. No. Bellerin, we don't have to talk about Bellerin, do we? But I mean Cedric.
I've put too many videos out where I've included the name Hector Bellerin and right back options for the summer, and it just, when I watch him back over, it just sounds like all I do is hate the guy, and I really don't. I actually really love the guy, but as a footballer, forward-thinking footballer going forward, it's just something we need to address. But just quickly going back to Tierney and Saka, the only other option, which I don't think Arteta will do, is go back to the 3-4-3.
Nah, he
won't. In some respects, hear me out in a 3-4-3, but in some respects, I could see it potentially working because, say for instance, you put, I don't know, let's say Holding, Luiz, and Gabriel as your 3 in the centre back. Then you get, it would probably be Bellerin because what it does is it takes away his defensive responsibilities at right back, which we can all agree that defensively he's not the greatest. This season, he's produced a lot more offensively than he has defensively, which is fine. But you put him at right wing back. You then have a midfielder of Xhaka and Partey, and then Saka is your left wing back. So essentially, you're not asking Saka to play right at left back and say, cool, listen, when we play a likes of Chelsea or whoever else we've got coming up soon, you're not having to basically just be the left back. You can move forward as much as you want. And the person behind you is the man responsible for their attackers. And in the front three, you could essentially have Ødegaard, Smith Rowe behind Aubameyang, because your width is still being supported by Bellerin and Saka. And then you've got your two technically number 10s who can work in with the midfield and with Aubameyang. And then also, if you want to put Aubameyang out on the left, again, it takes away his responsibilities defensively. Because, again, you're not saying to him, I want you up and down that wing. That's Saka's job. But Saka can do it up to like the final third of their half and up to the final third of your half. So he's in that middle space on the left. But again, I've just said this, but I don't think he'll go for it at all. I think he's bedded in now for a 4-2-3-1. And like you said, he'll probably still put Aubameyang there because he just loves to piss us off. But I want to jump into the Europa League and our chances in the Europa League. Coming up tomorrow night. What you think the lineup will be, and B, just how far do you think we will go? I'll get the fixtures up. So obviously we're playing Slavia Prague, everybody's enemy at the moment. Manchester United are playing Granada.
Yeah.
Ajax are playing Roma, and Dinamo Zagreb are playing Valencia. So if we Villarreal. If we go through, we have the opportunity to lose to Unai Emery.
What poetic justice we will be there.
Oh man!
Oh my god! For some reason, I can just see that.
Yeah, and I just picture him. After winning, like going like this, revealing a big T-shirt that said, "I'm still the right man." You know. But
oh my god!
Honestly, what do you think our chances are for the Europa League, firstly? And secondly, what would your lineup be for the game? And how much do you think we need to just go on the front foot and win the first leg by a convincing margin?
How far we'll go, I've got to be real. I don't think we can win it, man. We're too inconsistent. It hurts me because it's like, this is probably the best time to win it. I mean, how many years we've been in the Europa League? I could probably say, all right, the final against Chelsea, yeah, that still scars me, but it was what it was, because I felt we had a lot more difficult games to get to the final. Chelsea were kind of all right, and they didn't necessarily need to win that. That was just extra trophy, and it hurts because it was them. I hate Chelsea, but then there was that final with Atletico Madrid, that semi-final, and then I think they lost to Marseille in the final, which annoyed me even more. But yeah, sorry, Wenger, but but this, but this, I mean, I don't. We're too inconsistent. Arteta's just changing it up too much. There's no consistency with the defense. This Aubameyang on the left situation. Now Tierney's out for 4 to 6 weeks. I just don't know. I really do not know how far we can go. Maybe we can get past Prague. I expect us to get past Prague,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think the next semi-final is probably the furthest we'll go. I've got to be honest. They're too inconsistent. This team just pees me off, man. It really does, and it makes me wonder what would have happened if Emery actually got trusted like Arteta did, and Emery had this squad. There's been a lot of debate about that. I'm sure we can talk about that another time, but I mean, come on, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Oh man, just touching on that lack of trust for Emery. When you actually deep it and you actually go into detail of the players he wanted to compare to the players we bought, you really feel for the guy, like, and then we hounded him out as Arsenal fans, going, "This isn't good enough." We finished 5th under Emery, and we were like, "Nah, this is good enough. This is rubbish." Yeah, nah, this is the worst thing, and we got rid of him. And it's like, if he'd been given that trust, like Arteta said at the start of the last summer, I want Partey and I want Houssem Aouar. We knew Partey was easily gettable because of his release clause. Houssem Aouar was the one we had to do a bit of negotiation for. We spent all summer trying to do it, and we couldn't do it. So we basically, in the end, just went, okay, cool, listen, we'll give you the money for Partey because we know we can get him. Let's do that. The trust side of it, you're right. If we'd have given that trust to Emery that we'd given to Arteta, it could have been completely different. But, going into the Europa League, I'm a bit more optimistic than you are. And this is the Arsenal fan optimism merry-go-round that we always go through every year. I remember at the start of the season, I predicted Arsenal to finish 3rd.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cue the...
that was a lot higher than what I predicted. Yeah. I'll tell you what I predicted later if you want.
Yeah, please. But I said, look... In a season where it looks like Arsenal are the cup team at the moment anyway, we look like we're a cup team. And we have done for a few years now. We are a cup team.
Yeah.
Arteta's main focus on getting us to the Europa League final has to be his only focus. I don't want to see, us taking it lightly in the Europa League, playing, a couple of fringe players here or there just because we're trying to balance both of them. Look, at the end of the day, we're 10th in the Premier League. We're a long way off of 4th. We're a long way off of 6th. We need a miracle, basically, to get back up the top of the table in the Premier League. Essentially, it's putting your eggs in the basket. And I know what people say is, yeah, but if you put all your eggs into that basket and we lose, what are you left with in the Premier League? Listen, that's a risk that sometimes you have to take, because at the same time, we're in a situation where if we lose Europa League this weekend, if we lose this first tie against Prague away from home and they get an away goal advantage, that's the season pretty much done. And then you're looking for the rest of the Premier League season of, well, what are we doing? Just playing for a bit of confidence going into next season? Probably not. And how far are we actually going to then slip down the table? So it'd be interesting. I'd be interested to know what your lineup for tomorrow night would be.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to what you said in a minute, but my lineup, like I said, I've taken some players out because I'm not happy with them. So for me, Leno in goal, right back Bellerin, the 2 centre backs in Mari and Gabriel, left back Cedric, 2 in the pivot, Xhaka, Partey. On the right, Saka comes back for me. In the middle, Smith Rowe, because Erdegaard's got a little knock. On the left, Martinelli up top, Lacazette. That's my lineup. Because I can't trust certain people right now. So, what about yourself?
Listen, I completely agree with that. It's interesting and to hear the 2 left-footed centre backs at centre back. I don't see it happening.
No, I don't see it happening either, but that's what I want. And I know what you ain't gonna play, but that's what I want too. So,
the problem is, I reckon
I
reckon we'd see it a lot more if one of the 2 left-footed centre backs were both-footed, the same way David Luiz is comfortable both feet. If Gabriel could spring a ball out on his right foot, or Mari could, I reckon we would see that. But I have a feeling. I don't know, man. I think I'd go with Leno in goal, 100%, obviously. Leno in goal. Bellerin, I'd go in at right back as well. Although, having just talked about Saka at left back, I think this is not the game to start that process. I think wait for the Premier League to start that. Bellerin right back. I would probably go Chambers and Pablo Mari at centre back.
I wouldn't mind that.
And then Cedric at left back. I think this, look, I put in my video I did last week on Saturday, I put Gabriel as one of my players who I thought had a decent game up until the moment where he decided to slide and just completely miss the ball. And I said, look, at the end of the day, that is a mistake that can happen. It's not a mistake he does every game. And up until that point, he bullied Salah. Salah didn't get anywhere near him. It was what came after that with his, silly lackluster ball out to the left, which cost us the third goal. I just have with Gabriel, I think he's a confidence player, and he needs to get the confidence player out of him. He needs to be a player that, whatever confidence he has or whatever form he's going through, he should be at that level always. So, we referenced in the past Bakary Sagna and Nacho Monreal as our Mr. Consistent. No matter how bad the team was, you always had a 7 out of 10 out of them every game.
They were relied on,
we need that from our centre backs. And I think, Pablo Mari, other than, I think, the Leicester game in the first half where he had that little bit of lapse in concentration in the centre-back role where they scored, he's been a Mr. Consistent for us. He's been a 7 out of 10 player every game. He hasn't put a foot wrong, and I'd like to see him given more opportunity. And I think Chambers coming alongside of him would be the option I go for. My only worry between the two of them is the pace side of things. Now, Mari is relatively quick. We've seen him put the burners on against Jamie Vardy and beat him. It's Chambers on the other side. How quick is he, or how quick can he win a foot race? Not that quick. But that's the back four I'd go with, only because I think it gives a bit more balance, and I think Chambers deserves maybe a bit more chance than Holding does, especially after what happened with Diogo Jota at the weekend. That was just,
Listen, it was a repeat of what was the last thing? And I said this in my video.
Yeah.
Well done. Consistent, and they give him a new deal. Whatever.
The new deal side of things we can get into another video. I personally think that new deal's not bad, only because of his resale value and his English status. There, I said it. And I think it's one of those, with him, with Rob Holding, if that part of his game was eradicated right now, he'd be a perfectly good number 3 centre-back. It's the short inconsistencies that he has too regularly. We all said it after the game against Man City. Cut that out of your game. The lapse in concentration. All you had to do was be touch tight to your man. And we've got that. No problem. And he didn't. He saw Jota over his shoulder. He saw him, and still decided to run into the centre spot where there was nobody. Rather than staying with Jota, saying to Callum Chambers, push out, so if I clear the ball, you've got an outlet. But he didn't. So that's why I would probably go with Chambers on that side of things, because I think Chambers deserves maybe a spot at centre-back, a chance at least. And then I would go with a double pivot, as you mentioned as well, of Partey and Xhaka. That seems to be something that's actually growing a little bit in terms of a partnership that we're getting from the Arsenal. And then I would probably go with Saka. I don't know how bad Odegaard's injury is. I know he didn't train yesterday, so I'd probably do similar to you. I'd probably go with Smith Rowe in the middle, with Martinelli out on the left. And I would probably actually go with Aubameyang up top. I have a feeling in European games, he seems to be getting a lot more chances than he does in the Premier League. And whether or not that's still the European footballing way of the defensive line is so high that he'll always get the opportunity to spring in behind, potentially. And if that is the case, then, I want to say no better player than Aubameyang running in behind and finishing, but he missed 3 gilt-edged chances against Olympiacos. So who knows? But I do have a feeling, I do think that we should go with Aubameyang up through the middle. Lacazette, for all is good, he's also registered 0 shots against Liverpool in his last game. He didn't register anything. He was excellent against West Ham, but he has these games where he's either really good or he's absolutely terrible. Where, as a striker, we've seen strikers in the past who rely on sitting in the middle of the box and just finishing a nice move. Done. Cool. Lacazette's not even that player. He's not even that player where he will guarantee you at least a shot a game. He's a player that can either get you 3 shots a game or minus 10 shots a game, because he's so far deep into his own half that he's not even nearly in the opposition half. And man, the worst thing is with this football club and like I said, the Arsenal optimism merry-go-round is that we watch a player like Lacazette have a brilliant game against West Ham and say, you know what, actually, maybe we should give him a 1-year deal because he still offers us a lot. And then the following week, we go, bro, this guy is absolute donkey. Let's get him out of this club right now. He needs to be gone in the summer. And then the following week against Slavia Prague, if he plays tomorrow night and he bangs in a hat-trick, we're going to go, bruv, look what he's just done. He's got a hat-trick. We need to sign him up to a new contract because we ain't got no one else who does this. And then the following weekend against Sheffield United away from home, he does absolutely nothing again. We're going to go, bruv, what is this? Like, we need somebody just consistent. I just want somebody that's going to average me a goal a game. That's it. I don't care. Just give me a goal a game or a 0.8 where you're at least getting chances.
I agree with you. The only reason why I picked Lacazette is because, for one thing, with Aubameyang, he just, for me, just his body language just looks like I can't be asked. Playing striker and playing out on the left. I mean, look, the last time I saw Aubameyang look dangerous up top was Leeds. After that, you know, the Olympiacos game, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You're trying to do a back heel. You're really trying to do a back heel in that moment of time. I can't support that. You know, the amount of chances he had that in Olympiacos game. I'm like, bro, what you want? What do you want?
The only thing I would counter that is the only thing I would counter that is the fact that he's getting those opportunities. And I want to say that I feel if that was Lacazette, he'd still be on the edge of the box waiting for the ball. Like he'd expect someone like Pepe or Saka to be the ones in the box having that chance, and he's just waiting for the rebound because it's like, as much as he's a striker, he's more of the old number 10 striker where he would be a great support striker. If we played two up top, he'd be a great support striker. He'd be the second man.
The old Arsenal system,
Yeah, like obviously I'm not comparing him to Bergkamp, but Bergkamp never scored 1 million goals.
Yeah,
he'd always get you at least double figures, 10 goals a season. That's what Lacazette does. He's not the player you rely on to get you 20 league goals a season. That essentially is Aubameyang. That is Aubameyang's role. You need him to get you 20 league goals a season. And against Olympiacos, he got into the positions where he should be finishing every chance. That's my only thing where I think Aubameyang, as much as I agree with you, his body language, I want to say that even his body language was as terrible it was against West Ham. It gave me a glimmer of hope.
Nothing, man. Yeah,
it gave me a glimmer of hope when he celebrated. He could have easily carried on walking and just been like, yes. But he celebrated just to be like, okay, cool, listen, I played terrible, but I'm still a part of this team. This is still my team. He didn't walk off and just go, oh, fuck this shit, man. I've been subbed off. I don't care anymore. Like, oh, wicked, we scored. Well done. Look, we've equalized. Brilliant. No, he celebrated just to be like, this is still the team that I want to play for. That gave me a glimmer of hope. And that's the only reason why I'd play him still, and I'd still persist with him up front, because at the end of the day, he's still your best striker. You know, if you're going to rely on Eddie Nketiah to score you goals, then good luck.
I mean, boy, you'd be waiting forever if you rely on that. But what I will say is, like, you know, look, I'm not doubting Aubameyang's ability. I know on a good day, it could be absolutely crazy. I still remember the last two games in the FA Cup. You know, Man City, he did it on his own. The final against Chelsea, that last goal was just absolutely fantastic. The way he just lobbed it over Caballero, and I'm thinking, oh my God. Even a little piece of skill he did before that. But it's like, where is that guy gone? I don't get it. And, you know, he should be playing up top consistently, because that's what I said from the moment they signed him. I said, listen, if we're going to re-sign him, he needs to be playing up top. We need to let go of Lacazette. I still am with that. Don't get it twisted. I mean, as much as I want Lacazette to start, and like I said, my reasons for him is because, he drops in deep, because let's face it, our midfield is it needs a lot of help. Even when we got Odegaard and Smith Rowe there, it still needs help. However, when he drops in, now I look at the Chelsea game and the West Brom game as an example, when he's dropped in, he's allowed the likes of Smith Rowe and Saka or Martinelli to come in and let them do their thing. You know what I mean? He's been a supportive, like you said, a supportive striker to help these guys, because these guys are young, hungry guys that, you know, they possess a lot of skill and quality in them. And of course, it still needs fine-tuning for all three of them. Don't get it twisted, they're not the finished outlet. But for Lacazette to allow them to do that. I don't see Aubameyang doing that enough.
No.
You know, you're the captain as well, and I'm still peed off about the North London derby thing. How you coming up late? You know, you're the captain. You're supposed to be the first one there. You know, I sound like a WWE promo. But what I'm saying, you know, but the thing is, yeah, it's like, you know, you need to sort this out. That's the thing. Aubameyang, he is the best finisher at the club. That is a fact. But it's just, I'm not feeling that Aubameyang from last season, the season before that, and the season when we signed him. Even though that was in January, and even then when he came in, he was just.
He got something like 12 goals in 14 games. He was hitting the heights.
What annoyed me was the fact that if he was even allowed to play in that Europa League, I think we got a better chance to win it that year. But it was what it was, and then you know, it just frustrates
you know,
me. That's
the thing is, no, I completely agree with you, and you know what, the Arsenal fan in me and the passionate, emotional fan that says all these players that played against Liverpool, like you all could piss off, and we'll play the likes of Balogun up front, we'll play Nelson, we'll play Saka, we'll play this person, who will actually show some fight, who will actually put in the work and put in the hard graft for the team that they love.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. You just can't you just can't risk throwing in your young players all the time just because you're pissed off with your experienced players. Because at the end of the day, the experienced players still have something to offer. And look, this season, I mean, people can laugh at the XG, and if you are a person who understands XG and who can follow XG, last season, the season before last, he outperformed his XG. His XG was really low, and he outperformed it in terms of his goal scoring.
Yeah.
This season, post-January at least, he's underperforming his XG. He should be scoring a lot more. You know, those 3 chances against Olympiacos, those 3 chances against Benfica, all 6 of those chances he misses. So already we know full well that he should be scoring ahead of his XG, and he's not. And there's a part of me that still thinks he offers so much in an attacking sense. It's just, how do we get it out of him? How do we, you know, and it's one of those ones where I'm still pissed off with his actions in the North London derby.
Mm-hmm.
But a part of me thinks that had he played in the North London derby, where would he have played, firstly? And secondly, would he have had a similar impact to Lacazette? Now, albeit Lacazette had a really poor game against Tottenham, but he was the man who won the penalty, and he was the man who scored the penalty. Yeah. I don't know. What's your prediction for tomorrow night anyway?
You're going to call me crazy. 2-0 Arsenal. That is what I believe with the team that I picked anyways. 2-0.
Yeah, I was going to say 2 or 3-0 to be fair myself, so it's not that far-fetched in fairness.
Fair play.
So then what I'll do, we'll move on a bit then. Obviously, we've spoken a little bit about Arteta. And I don't want to just throw out the are you Arteta in or Arteta out? Because
I could go into detail if you asked me that anyways, but it is what it is.
What is your opinion of Arteta? What is your opinion of how he's managed situations in terms of his substitutions? Because we can all agree his substitutions have been very questionable. And we can look at it from a perspective of, you know, listen, we've had a lot to deal with in terms of COVID, in terms of lockdown, in terms of financial restraints on the club. Obviously, no Europa, no Champions League football. So that's obviously taken into consideration his own battles he's dealing with in terms of players like, you know, Ozil, Kolasinac, Mustafi. And obviously, credit goes to Edu for getting rid of them. When I say getting rid of them, he just basically paid them off. But what is your thoughts on Arteta, and how much time do you give him?
How much time do I give him? He would have been out already, mate. I'm not even joking. He would have been gone from there's at least 2 games, but maybe 1 game might have been more of a reaction, which will probably have been Aston Villa at home. I was absolutely disgusted with that performance. Yeah, that game, but I'd probably more lean towards the Burnley game. I'd have just said, look, that's enough, man. I've done enough. Do you know what I mean? Because that game was absolutely horrible. I felt we could have got something out of that game, but the way he set up, it's just he annoys me, man. He really does because, I wasn't exactly a happy camper when we were linked with him. Even when after Wenger, I thought, oh no, go get Brendan Rodgers for me, please. And a lot of people taking a piss out of that. I was like, how? But look at Leicester. People, they're not laughing no more, are they? They want Brendan now. Funny that. Anyways, we had Emery. He came, he gone. That's that. Arteta come in. I said, you know what? All right, you're gonna be the manager, so I'll support you. But any fraudulence, you know what it is already. And I wasn't satisfied with the fact that we finished 8th, but the FA Cup, okay, it papered over the cracks. It did, but I think we done really well in that whole cup run. To be honest with you, I mean, Sheffield United was. I'm not saying it was tougher than City and Chelsea, but I mean,
it was.
It was in a sense. It really was. I mean, City threw everything at us, but we defended very well. Sheffield United. I mean, once they equalised, I was like, oh god, the Tobias.
I know.
We could talk about Tobias another time if you want.
I don't want to. I have no intention. He's going to be gone at the end of the season. I have no intention of mentioning that guy's name ever again. The fact that I called him like flipping Santi Cazorla 2.0 after that Burnley game last season at home. I feel disgusted. I washed my mouth out. I had to wash my mouth out with soap and pickle and everything that my nan used to wash my mouth out with every time I swore. I don't want to talk about him.
I'm gonna get some baking soda and wash your mouth out. Good Lord. I complained to everybody on Twitter. I was like, why is everyone getting gas to Tobias? One game, let's chill.
It's the Arsenal optimism merry-go-round. I keep telling you this.
I left that ages ago. I left that after Van Persie. I left that.
Please don't bring up the
reptile, I know. But look, all right, let's just get back to Arteta. Oh my God. We could be there for good longer than that. But anyways, look, Arteta's just, I don't know, his man management skills have been absolutely awful. I mean, the way he's kind of just left Saliba out, I wasn't satisfied with that. If we knew Mustafi, thank God he's gone. Socrates, all these guys were going to be exiled out. Why was Saliba sent to the under-23? A part of me kind of gets it, but a part of me doesn't. Because I'm looking at Fofana, who was his partner at Leicester. He's getting a run of games. Yeah, Sionchu was injured. I get that. But still, it's not like Brendan Rodgers or Leicester decided, okay, Fofana, you know what? We're going to send you back out on loan. We had to wait a whole year for Saliba to come back from loan after Emery's first season, right? Just for him to go back, be out of the team, not even picked in the Europa team. Not even the Europa team. So not even the League Cup.
Not even the League
Cup.
I know.
That's what killed me the most. Plays with the under-23s. Okay, fine. Maybe once certain men are gone in January, you can come back in. Nope. Go back on.
Maybe Arteta saw that video that went out viral before everyone else did.
He might. He probably did. But you know what? He probably did. But at the same time, I think to myself, you have to get this guy used to the league. And obviously, look, playing with the under-23s, obviously, Premier League 2 is totally different from Premier League 1. But at the same time, you've got to get him used to England, the weather, the way we play, X, Y, and Z, right? So I still think he should have done enough to keep him in there, But he let me down with that. He let me down with Granit Xhaka. I know how people feel about Xhaka, but him begging him to stay. Look, my thing is, I would have said this: if it was really down to a financial situation, and he begs Xhaka to stay, because that was the first red flag for me, right? Now I had my gripes with Xhaka. I would have just said, Xhaka, finish the season off for me. I'll let you go. If that was the case, then fine. Fine. But no, because Xhaka for me, yes, he has somewhat played better than he has in the last few years. Still not good enough for me. Still need to let him go. But there's just, I don't get it. He messes up all the time. He still gets picked. The same for Bellerin. He finally got that on his head. You know, Ainsley Maitland-Niles treatment. It's like, why did you keep him if you're not going to use him? You might as well just sold him. I don't get that, you know. And Aubameyang keeps getting shoehorned in the team. You're not brave enough to drop him. And it's just certain things I have my gripes with him. His man management skills is poor. You quoted the substitutions, his treatment of certain players, and I feel he's got that Mourinho bit about him where it's like he trusts more of the experienced players than the youngsters. And that's what annoys me about Arteta. I mean, yeah, you could say Saka and ESR, but let's face it, Saka was already there in the team. And ESR, he had no choice. Let's face it, we needed a number 10. OR never happened. And then by the time the Chelsea game came, it's like, well, we got nothing. So, you know, Emil, you're back, you're ready. Let's give it a go. And since then, Emil Smith-Rowe has put his foot down and said, listen, you can't play without me. And he's right. And then Odegaard comes in. Same thing. It's like, okay, the young players have been carrying the experienced players. And what he's kind of done is turn his back on the youngsters in a sense. And especially Martinelli, I thought, yeah. At first, I thought, okay, he's protecting him. Then after a while, it's like, nah, do you know what? Why? What's going on here? Because you're not really giving him a fair shot. And then the treatment of Pepe, look, I don't think Pepe is the answer, personally. I wanted Wilfried Zaha. That's who I wanted at the beginning. Because
so
it's really proven. Do you know what I'm saying? So did Emery. But, you know, Pepe's just too lukewarm for me. You know? And it's like, you don't trust him. I can understand why, but it's like you need to let him loose. There's too many handcuffs on a lot of these players, and I feel Arteta is more scared of conceding a lot of goals, like we did with Emery and somewhat with Wenger as well. But at the same time, you're too secure. You need to let the forward line go. So ultimately, I've had enough with this manager already. But it's who do we bring in? That's my question. Because some of the fan base think we can go get these big managers. And I'm like, listen, if that's thank you. Because listen, we can get rid of Arteta. I've got no loyalty to this guy. This guy played for Arsenal. He won an Arsenal legend. He did his bit. He won an FA Cup. He was a captain for a bit. Then he dipped and retired. Cool, right? But when you think about it, if Arsenal were going to bring in a top manager, why did they not do that in the first place after Wenger? I know it was so much after Wenger, after Emery also, because Emery wasn't even on their list. He just come out of nowhere and just said, okay, he accepts the conditions, because all the other top managers were like, no, why? No, I need a transfer budget. Enrique, Ancelotti, Allegri, all these guys who are serial winners said no. Said no. Why? Because of Arsenal's tight restraints. They see Arteta get the chest. And it's like, after winning an FA Cup. So I would have liked to have questioned, okay, so if Arteta didn't win the FA Cup, would we have stuck with him? Also to that, would you have promoted him to be the manager, or would he still be head coach? Honestly, this is why I don't trust the club, though, because it's so many wishy-washy, back to front. There's no plan. They try and tell us there's plans. What? You're bringing Edu and everyone's happy. Get that. Overmars is available. Go and get him. You've seen what he's done at Ajax. Bring him in. Do you know what I mean? But they won't do that. They won't bring in an experienced coach after him. They'll probably go and get Eddie Howe. I'm not even joking. If Eddie Howe don't take the Celtic job and Arteta's out, watch. Because that's the type of club Arsenal are moving at. They're not moving like the club that we grew up loving under Arsene Wenger. But the times are gone. And this is the thing.
Eddie Howe, you just mentioned Eddie Howe. You just gave me chills, man. I can't do that. Please don't do that.
Listen, I don't like mediocrity. I hate it. My objectives for Arsenal is to be eventually getting back to competing for the league title. But there's so many steps we have to take to get back up there. We have to start again. Reset the team. The manager, listen, if they're going to continue with Arteta, they need to bloody support him and get some real number twos next to him, because whoever that number two is with the bloody earpiece, get rid of him. He don't look like he did absolutely shit. I'm being honest. I can't stand it. Everything is poor from top to bottom. The owner is the main issue. But I'm sorry, I kind of went over the question.
No. You know what? Listen, there we go. But to be honest with you, I agree with a lot of what you just said there. To be fair, I can't argue with anything you said. What you said, I can only put into some sort of perspective. So, for instance, the Saliba instance, I can get why Arteta, who's a young, inexperienced coach himself, who wants to get back to Champions League football, has said to a 19-year-old, "I can't put my faith in you being my main guy." We can all get behind that, I think. If you're going to say, listen, if he was Jose Mourinho and said to him, "Cool, I trust you enough," fine, because Mourinho's an experienced manager. He's won everything, blah, blah, blah. The fact that I'm referencing Mourinho and saying Arsenal, it makes me sick. But
don't get me started.
But if it was an experienced manager and said to this guy, "Listen, we can't put you in right now because you're too inexperienced. And I don't want you, a £28 million centre-back, making a mistake and you having to say to yourself, oh man, I don't think I'm good enough to play for this team. I want you to go out and get more experience, come back and show me that you are the best player or the best centre-back, not just at the club, but sod it, in the league. And I want you to come back and say, I want that spot. If you're not going to give me that spot, I will take it from whoever it is you've given it to." So I can see why he's done that. I can see why he's maybe not played him in the Europa League, maybe not played him in the League Cup. But on the same flip side, we've had what? Who did we have at the centre back? We had Rob Holding, we had Callum Chambers, we had Mustafi, we had Socrates, we had David Luiz, we had Pablo Mari, and we had Gabriel. And then we had Saliba. So you're already saying to Saliba, who's already young and inexperienced, you've got to get ahead of 7 other people to be my starting centre back.
Remember,
all 7 of them. Exactly. So, yeah. But then you're saying to them, by the way, all 7 of these players have played over probably 200 games of football. You've played about 40 or 50 or 100, however many you played. But so in some respects, I can see why Arteta said, look, I can't put my trust in you. And I completely get that. The fact of the matter was that we didn't get the deal wrapped up with Saint Etienne in the summer, sending him back on loan. Because if he sent him back on loan in the summer, we're talking about a completely different scenario here. What we're not talking about is the fact that we screwed up in the fax machine, sending the fax papers too late to send to the Premier League or to whoever it was to say this player's going back out on loan. We then said to him, okay, you're going to go to the under-23s, even though you're 10 times better than every player that plays in the under-23s. But we don't quite trust you enough to put you in the Premier League squad. He made 1 senior squad, 1, from October or August up until the point he went out on loan in January. We couldn't trust you enough to play you in the League Cup. We couldn't trust you enough to play in the Europa League group stages, even though we played the likes of Balogun. We played other, youngsters. We put Nketiah as our main Europa League player.
Aziz came out and got
a run out as well.
Yeah.
So do I. I'm hoping he gets a Premier League promotion next season. But other players, look, with the other players as well, Granit Xhaka, I take a bit more difference of opinion to what you do. And I completely agree with what you said, by the way, though, that he wanted to go in the January after what happened with the captaincy. And Arteta basically said, no, I want you to be here because at the end of the day, right now, before Partey comes in, you are my best centre mid. And I can't deal with it with Guendouzi and Torreira. It's just not going to happen. I can't get anybody in the summer or in January to replace you. And I have no idea where we're going to finish off in the league. So, who knows what kind of budget we're going to have, although we spent 50 million on Partey. What I will say is the fact that Arsene Wenger put him as his main man. Unai Emery's put him as his main man. Arteta has put him as his main man. He's the captain of Switzerland. Are we just looking at it because every time he makes a mistake for us, we go, I fucking hate this guy. Stop doing that. Or are we looking at it going, actually, you know what? He's actually a very good player. He just needs the right player alongside him. Because I've said it, and listen, you can laugh at me and everyone else can laugh at me. But to be fair, I put a few things. I didn't just say if he had a right foot, he'd be 10 times a player. I basically said if he had a right foot, if he was more agile and he was more disciplined, he'd be one of the best midfielders in the world. That's what I said. And again, but if you deep it, there's not that many factors that really make him from being an average or a very good midfielder to being a really top midfielder. There's just certain things he can't do. I still like him. I still think he's a very good player, but I agree with you that we need an upgrade in that department. We need somebody who's got the agility. We don't want somebody who every time he gets stuck in a sticky situation, he just falls over onto the ball and expects a free kick, which now you've probably noticed yourself, referees have cottoned onto and they've stopped giving him free kicks. He doesn't get away with it anymore. So I agree with you in an extent where I think Xhaka definitely needs to be a man that gets sold and upgraded on. But I also think if I had to keep him as a third choice centre midfielder, I wouldn't be so much against that. I'd rather him as my third choice centre midfielder than Mohamed Elneny or Matteo Guendouzi, put it that way. In terms of the younger players and the experienced players, I think what I said at the start, where because he's an inexperienced manager himself, it's very tough to say, I'm an inexperienced manager, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lean on the inexperienced players, because if they get stuck, if they get in a sticky situation, it's fine because they're inexperienced, they're stuck. You know, I can bring in the experienced players. Or he goes, well, my experienced players can get me out of it and they can help me improve as a club, as a team, and improve my managerial experience. What I do have problems with is his inclusion of certain players. So like I said, Aubameyang at the start, left midfield. We know it doesn't work. It doesn't work in a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. It only works in a 3-4-3 where his defensive responsibilities are pretty much diminished. It doesn't work in the situation we're playing now. The fact that we played Willian consistently at the start, and although I referenced at the start that he has improved and I actually am starting to appreciate him a bit, it didn't help at the start where you played him every week, even though he was shit every week. I didn't get that at all. The Pepe side of things, I've had many debates with people about Nicolas Pepe, because if you watched him at Lille, he was a player where he would stay on the halfway line and just wait for the counter-attacking ball over the top and run onto. At Arsenal, he's been asked, especially by Arteta, to be the man who's similar to Aubameyang, track back, defend, and then help me start the attack. In recent weeks, in recent months, I think Arteta has trusted him a lot more in terms of playing him. Like in the games where Willian didn't play, and neither did Pepe. Pepe was the first sub if we needed a goal. If we were 3-0 up, Willian came on to get him a bit of confidence. But if we were 1-0 down, Nicolas Pepe was the first choice because he trusted him a bit more to get a goal than Willian. And you can start to see Arteta saying, okay, cool, I believe in you a lot more. That's why he played against Liverpool. He could have easily put in Martinelli in there, or he could have easily put in Reece Nelson in there, but he put Pepe in there against Liverpool because he does trust him a bit more, I think. What I'm not too sure about his trust in Pepe is is he suited to Arteta's game? And is he suited to the style Arteta wants? Because for all intents and purposes, on Saturday that he was trying against Liverpool, it just didn't work. And it wasn't working. But he didn't try and change that. He didn't say to Pepe, all right, listen, we've taken Aubameyang off. We're going to move you out to the left where it did work for a little bit. We're going to keep you there and just hopefully you can produce something against them, even though nothing has seemed to work so far. And then in terms of, you know, his substitutions, like I said at the start, oh man, they're just the most hit and miss I've ever seen in my life. Like Aubameyang lasted 70-odd minutes. Like they are literally, like Aubameyang lasted 77 minutes or 76 minutes against Liverpool. Why? We knew full well from the first, and West Ham, it didn't work. It wasn't working from the start. Like why? Why do it? And I know you referenced a lot more things there, and I've not forgotten them, but no, there's so much that you referenced in there. I personally would I would personally give Arteta another full season. And I know that can really go down the avenues of, God, this is going to get really bad if it doesn't work. So then we are going into the realms of, well, who's available and who's willing to take this club from 15th, let's say, and try and get it up again. It will only be Eddie Howe. There ain't going to be no other manager. You ain't going to find Max Allegri and say, Allegri, listen, we're 15th in the league. We ain't got no European football. We just want you to work week in, week out, Monday to Friday, Saturday game, Monday to Friday, Sunday game. That's all we want you to do. get us. Oh, by the way, you ain't got no budget either, but we want you to work with this team, get us back in the top 4. He ain't gonna want to do that. And
no one's gonna want to do that.
No, but with Arteta, I keep saying this, and I'm still in. I think I'm like halfway up the top of the merry-go-round. Like I'm sort of at the top there in my optimism. I'm still waiting to come back down so I can jump off it. But give Arteta the opportunity to bring in the players he wants. So listen, we can all say that Partey has had really good games this season. He's had some poor games, but he's definitely our best midfielder without a shadow of a doubt. Gabriel's come in and, let's say he's played 30 games. For 25 of those games, Gabriel's been our best centre-back this season. I still think personally David Luiz is our best centre-back, and that's a problem in itself. But
yes,
bringing in someone of Gabriel's quality as a centre-back is fine. Kieran Tierney, although obviously Emery brought him in, Kieran Tierney has gone on tenfold in his game under Arteta. With a couple of additions, this is the usual thing with Arsenal. 2 or 3 more players and we're perfect, no problem. The problem is it's 2 or 3 more players and then another 5 or 6 squad players who are of equal caliber. That's the problem. And that's where we're not going to see that. And the problem is, look, I've put it together, and we'll touch on that in a second. I've put together a compilation of positions that Arsenal should look for and what kind of players we can look at. The chances are we're going to sign 2 out of the 5 players that I've mentioned. And they're probably not even going to be the first, second, or third choice. It'll be the same summer that we tried to sign Lacazette in the summer, who it was, and we ended up with Lucas Perez, even though every person in the world told Wenger don't go for him because he's terrible, and Wenger still went for him. It's going to be like that.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah.
We're going to leave it there. We're going to wrap things up. Where can everybody find you? Obviously on your YouTube channel and on your Twitter as well, and anything else you've got that you use.
Well, thanks for inviting me on, Chris. Always a pleasure.
You're very welcome, mate.
Definitely got to do this next time, man. There's loads of
100%.
Guys, YouTube channel's there, Ryan Williams AFC. Check out my content. Let me know what you guys think. And Twitter RJ Wills. You could just search me up, Ryan Williams AFC on Twitter. Also, if you can't remember RJ Wills, and Instagram, same Ryan Williams AFC. But thanks again, Chris, man.
No, appreciate it. Like I said, look, give him a follow his YouTube as well, subscribe to the channel. Well, listen, you're getting to the road to, is it 150 or 200 subs now?
150.
So I'm on the road to 100. Listen, we're gonna get there together, bro. Don't worry.
Come on, man.
Obviously, like again, myself, if you are brand new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, notification bell. Every time I upload a video, you'll be notified. Same as his as well. Hit the notification bell every time he uploads a video, you'll be notified. Follow both of us on Twitter. Mine's Miss CJ Wright as well. And guys, until next time, listen, keep the faith. That's what I want to say. Is just keep the faith. Maybe not with the players, the manager, or the board. Maybe just with the badge. Sod it. Just keep the faith with the badge. That's all we want. At the end of the day, we both love this football club, and we both want the football club to succeed no matter what happens. No matter who's here, and in 50 years' time when we're both in Zimmer frames, we'll still be supporting the football club. Exactly. So, yeah, guys, until next time, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Easter time off, and yeah, we'll see you both soon. Take care.